Well, hello, fitness business nerds. What's up? Welcome to another bonus episode with me and Mr. Mark Fisher. What's up, sir?
Just tying up my hair in a man bun.
Just, looking prim and proper for our
Sorry,
podcast.
listeners. You got to check
Yeah.
into YouTube if you want to see man bun.
You only get that special content if you hop over to YouTube. Well, let's dive in. I think we picked two really fun topics for today. So let's just talk about them. The first thing that we wanted to share with you all is that at Mark Fisher Fitness, we did a recent referral kind of campaign that's gone really, really well for us. And I think that one, we just wanted to celebrate for ourselves that we did something that's going really well and just share kind of lessons learned so you all can kind of steal our ideas and run with it for yourself. So Fisher, you want to just kind of talk a little bit about what we did and what the results have been so far?
Sure. We launched a new referral initiative, and specifically what the problem we looked to solve was this. Everybody knows that one of the most important things you can do to grow your business is ask for referral. The challenge is, I think, for many training gyms and micro gyms is if you have a paid low barrier offer, there's not an elegant way to do that is not asking, essentially, will you please sell your friend in advance on giving us money to come to work with us? Because even if it is an amazing value, much lower barrier offer, even if it's something like a $49 price point, the reality is you're not asking them to give their friend a free thing on your behalf, which is a cool gift and an easy thing to do. You're asking them, hey, can you convince your friend to come and sign up for our gym? That's not to say that you shouldn't do that or that that's wrong or that you should incentivize that. But we, upon noodling on this, decided to try a tact that is a little bit more common when there's free low barrier offers. So for context, our Homebody 14-day challenge is not a free offer. It is a paid 49-day trial. Our semi-privates happen to be free. So
the paid $49 value. I think you said 49 day. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I'm so sorry. Yeah. 14 days, $49, up to 12 classes. And right now our offer for our in-person semi-privates are a free semi-private. And then if they sign up for their strategy session within the first day, we'll give them a second free semi-private. And we use that second one as a carrot because we know, of course, part of what we're looking to do is get them into a conversation where we can get clarity on their goals, get clear on their obstacles, and then make them an offer. What we figured out that worked really, really well is instead of asking the ninjas, will you please sell your friends on spending this $49 trial, we're giving them a free thing. We're like, actually, we're just going to give your friends 2 free classes or 2 free semi-privates. And that makes it, admittedly, our funnel's a little complicated because we have an in-person and an online one. Most of you should only have one thing. I would like us to only have one thing, but that is part of the constraints of our strength time. But the good news is the messaging is, hey, put your friend's name in here and their email. And if you want their phone number in this non-required field, and we'll give them 2 free workouts. That is a much, much easier ask than asking them to buy a 14-day, $49 trial. So talking specific numbers, we've had something absurd. Wednesday morning will be the end of the first 2 weeks period. And I think we've had an excess of 160 something submissions. That's a lot of referrals. Now, I always want to qualify this. It's funny. I was just doing a Facebook Live for the Unicorn Society, our coaching group before this, where I qualified. I want to clarify for you, dear listener, that the numbers we talk about in MFF land are bizarro. Remember, the principles will usually be applicable. So please do not feel overly defeated by these numbers, which are very large in part because MFF is just a unique animal, right? So you might not get 160 leads, but for most of you, if you got 20, 30, 40 referred leads from existing clients, that is such an easy thing because you're asking them, hey, can we give your friends a cool free thing? That is an amazing way of approaching getting referrals. It's something we have never done. I don't really know why. We're stupid, I guess. It took us a long time to figure this out. And
we've had similar-ish things like the VIP cards and giving people in our Founders Club things to give to their friends. But we never did it on mass like this to make it so easy. I think that's part of the appeal. Is like just put their info here and we'll send them something free. It's like so easy. You don't have to talk to them face to face. You don't have to hand them a card or a coupon. It's like it's pretty simple. It's like and they feel empowered by having the power to give away free things. It's like it's such a win-win.
Yeah, we're doing a cool thing for your friend. And to be clear, there is a carrot for them that if the friend signs up for a regular membership, we'll give them a 50-hour credit on their next auto pay. But ultimately, it seems cash doesn't tend to move the needle so well for these referral campaigns.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to share that I think is an important distinction that originally we were like, oh, this feels weird. Can we do this? Is it weird if we do this? Is in the strategy sessions, when Kyle and Emily are telling the person about this, they don't send them the link and say, here you go, fill it out when you want. They essentially get the contact information from the person and then they input it. Now, that is very different because here's the thing. To be clear, if you create a simple landing page like we have, which is a simple automated follow-up sequence when they submit it, that's amazing. You're already doing better than so many people. However, understand if you are just blasting out the email link to your members, you'll definitely get some people do it, but then they have to go ahead and do it. Whereas we've really curated a process in the strategy session where after they've signed up for the membership, and there's a separate but slightly different but similar approach if they don't sign up for membership, where we essentially ask them to pause, close their eyes, think about some people in their life that might benefit from this. And we literally like make them think about it with their eyes closed, like jog through it. Is there a friend, a coworker, maybe someone in your family? Because the other challenge is if you put them on the spot, they might not know. They might freeze up and simply be like, I'm going to think about it. I'll get back to you on this. And you don't want that. You want to get it from them then and there. So we give them time with their eyes closed to think about it. We then ask, wait for them to confirm, cool, you've thought of the people? Got it, great. You got a few people? Awesome, great. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to give these people free things on your behalf. Go ahead, pull out your phone, and now give me their contact information. Now, I assume some of you might find that overly aggressive. That is okay. You will have a lot less referrals. If you just give them the link and passively hope that they do it, you won't have as many people uptake this. And again, that I don't say that that's wrong necessarily, but if you're really looking to do this at scale and get lots and lots of referred leads, I don't think this is wildly inappropriate. And if I can break the belief, because I understand part of the concern people have is they'll feel as if, isn't that over the top? You're asking them to give their contact information, their friends, they just signed up for the thing. And I don't think so, because the reality is they're just giving free things to their friends, and the friends don't have to do anything. The friends can ignore the emails. It's for a little bit more context. It's not a high pressure, massive follow-up sequence. We're cognizant of the fact that this individual has not chosen to opt in to communicate with us. It's just a couple automated emails and text messages that just says, hey, your friend so-and-so wanted to give you 2 free workouts at Mark Fisher Fitness. Would you like to do in-person semi-privates or online classes? That's it. And then I think they get 3 outreaches over a week that are automated. And then we just put it in a new part of the system. At the end of that week, we will then follow back up with the referring ninja if we have not heard from their friend, with a low pressure, hey, Mrs. Rossini, thank you so much for giving us X person's contact information. Just want to give you a heads up. We haven't heard from them yet, which is no problem, but want to let you know in case you wanted to give them a friend nudge. Wink. And this ultimately is a very automated system that's going to allow us to very quickly grow even our long-term nurture list. Because the final point I'll make about this that is so powerful is not only, of course, are a certain percentage of these individuals going to be like, yeah, sure, that sounds great, I'll do this. And now these are qualified leads. They're coming from your existing clients who are already going to be saying nice things about you. But the reality is, a fair percentage of these individuals haven't probably expressed interest in working out at your gym. They just had a well-intentioned friend that submitted them for it. And a lot of these individuals, I suspect, are not going to take action right away, even though we're following up with them, but they will now be part of our long-term nurture. And of course, as a careful listener to the Business for Unicorns podcast, you know that one thing we really prize is consistent and frequent communication via your ongoing email marketing. So my suspicion is a lot of these individuals will become part of our long-term nurture list. They will read the emails on occasion, and some might not sign up for a year or two, and that is okay because we are playing the long game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. It's so great. I'm so glad we found something like this that works. A few quick clarifying things for those of you who don't know. Kyle and Emily that Mark mentioned are sales reps. They're basically our full-time sales folks,
Mhm.
and that's one of the ways in which people were being asked to actually make referrals was as they were starting their kind of new ninja journey with
Oh,
us.
thank you.
But we also did do the other thing, which is send out the link and let everyone know about it. So it's not the only way. We also had
Yes.
trainers telling people announcements. I think it was announcements the first week.
Hmm.
So the start of every class, we had trainers pitching this referral campaign. It was in emails. I think we even put it on social media in our
Yep.
groups. So we
Yep.
did do the send out the link in addition to having trainers make a passionate plea at the beginning of class and salespeople pushing it for all new people at the opportune time they feel good about their purchase. And so
Yes.
I think all of those really, really matter. And I think the takeaway for listeners, well, you can take away any number of the things Fisher said, but the main one is feedback I hear about referrals being so hard is that the conversation is just uncomfortable, that your team feels uncomfortable asking for these
Yeah.
things, and that clients feel uncomfortable giving their friends contact information to a business. And I think this method is the closest I've seen to not really needing much of a conversation. It's still helpful if you have bold people like sales
Hmm.
folks who can who can confidently ask you to do the thing right now and take you through a visioning exercise of close your eyes and imagine your friends. Like that's useful, but most of your team's not going to be trained up enough to do that, and most of your team's not going to feel confident doing that, which is something you can work on. But in the meantime, this method makes it as easy as possible to get the referral in spite of the discomfort. And I
Yeah.
think that's anything you can do to move in that direction of not having it be so laborsome. I think it's going to be useful. Make it simple, make it easy. And as Mark said, even the follow up afterwards is not super high pressure. There's a handful of follow ups. We do
Totally.
our best to say, hey, your friend gave you something free. This is exciting. If you want to take advantage, this is how. But we're not hunting them down. They didn't ask for this. And I think
Yes.
that goes a long way to helping making sure that all of our ninjas will do this again when we ask them because we didn't harass their friends.
Yeah, that's very true. Because I think the central potential two takeaways are one, creating some simple opt-in page. You can go to markfisherfitness.com/refer, where of course, hilariously, we lean very heavily on the reefer madness theme and make it look like I think the unicorn is maybe smoking a joint. And you want some simple opt-in form like that and then an automated follow-up sequence. So that is great because that's going to make it very easy for you to do and not make it manually intensive. And secondly, I think it's having a free thing. That's the biggest difference. Because again, we had a similar submission, but when you're asking, like, can you give me your friend's contact information so I can try to sell them to buy this even very high value, low barrier offer? It's just different than when you're giving them a free thing, because we did get a lot of traction, I think, blasting this out and doing like a hard launch week where everybody in the Ninja Army knows about this awesome new thing we're doing. But long term, we suspect where most of these are coming from is at the point of sale in the strategy session. And this summer we've been talking about literally for years, and we have known that in theory, the point of sale, that's the place where people are most likely to refer. You don't, and there's a lot of research on this. Apparently, you don't want to ask 2 weeks later. You don't want to ask a year later. You can ask then, but strangely, the time they're most willing and likely actually to do this is at point of sale. And we just couldn't figure out how to do it because again, we were trying, they just bought a thing from us. And now we're saying, give us your friends' information so we can sell them things. That's a hard ask, but give us your friends' information and we'll give them free stuff that they can do if they want. That's an easy ask.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. And it's how, I mean, just thinking of what's the new sound app? Clubhouse? Is that what it's called? I confuse all the new apps. The fact that that thing has expanded because they gave everyone the ability to invite others.
Sure.
And it felt like, I mean, I think I even invited someone, I don't even like the app because I thought of friends who actually might enjoy it more than me. And it felt like I had the power to have these, I think 5 invites or whatever it was. And I was like, well, I'm gonna use this. You gave me these invites. I want to use them. I don't care about this app, but I know some people who might enjoy it.
Sure.
But there's something really empowering to your clients to say, hey, you're like kind of on our team. Here's some free things to give away.
Totally.
It goes a long way. It goes a long way. Yeah. Awesome. Anything else to share about that? I think that's a good one. That's a good takeaway.
I would love for you to try and let us know how it goes, because it's really, we feel like it took us years of trying to figure this out. And I think that's the distinction. It's got to be a free thing you're giving them, a truly free thing.
Yeah, give it a try. Let us know. Ask us some questions down in the comments below. Reach out on social medias and talk to us. Let us know how it goes. Let's do one more topic. We'll do one more. I think this one might be a little bit of a shorter one, but something that's come up a lot in my coaching calls with our Unicorn Society members and with other folks I've been talking to is over this last year of COVID, well, year plus of COVID, a lot of people who have teams, this is all for you out there who work on teams, which really means you have 3 or more people. There's been a lot of role changes. There's been a lot of people who've their job has been changing every few months, in part because the business is opened and then closed and then opened and closed, and then we're growing very quickly, and then we're online, and then we're in person. And so everyone's been having to change their roles and responsibilities like crazy. And I would say even during normal times, I think I hear this a lot. We've certainly experienced this a lot as MFF grew very quickly, that everyone's roles and responsibilities had to shift every so often. It might not have been every 6 months, but certainly it was about every year, every 18 months, we had to re-examine what's everyone working on. So I think what happens over time when there's a lot of change is people's roles get muddy. And then suddenly there's 4 or 5 people working on one thing. And we know that when there's more than one person working on a thing, no one's really working on it. Mm-hmm. And I'm seeing a lot of that on teams over the last year. So I'll start with I'll let you take this one, Fisher, which is, how do you think about and tell me a little bit about what our experience has been and trying to make sure that people have clear roles and responsibilities, people have clear lanes in the business. Certainly we've done this as partners as well. What does it look like to kind of audit people's roles and responsibilities and make sure that stuff stays clear?
Yeah, I think it's hard when you're growing fast. I think that when you're growing fast, the business is in dog years where sometimes a month feels like a quarter. So I actually think particularly during COVID, even though I know a lot of people listening, it's not that your business has 5x in the past year, but if you're like a lot of the training gyms, you probably did shrink down to a skeleton crew and then slowly start to scale back up. So comparatively, from your smallest, most skeleton crew moment, there probably was a fair amount of growth and you might have seen some change in the team. Certainly that's been a real challenge for us at MFF as we shrunk down so much. We moved on from some people who worked with us for a long time, and then we started building back up and hiring new people.
Yeah.
So I think a practice, it might be as honestly, if it's, in some cases, I think it's warranted to do as frequently as every 3 months. And what I think is a useful exercise to do periodically is to do, if not a time study, for those of you that are familiar with Time Ninja, or you can find an article on our blog, it's free, called the Quick and Dirty. No, there's time audit, search time audit. And I think if people spend a week writing down everything that they're doing, you will get a sense of what's actually on their plate. And then you can be intentional to decide, are these the things you want on the plate? Should you be delegating some of these things from this particular individual? Are there things that this individual is doing that is not in your dream for them to be doing? And of course, it's probably a little more collaborative than I'm making it sound there. I'm not saying that you are coming in and being overly prescriptive about exactly what they can and they can't do, but to some extent, that is partially your role as the owner and the boss. So I think that becomes a useful thing. And if you don't want to do the time audit version, a slightly faster one is just have everybody on the team make a list of here's all the things that they believe are their responsibilities, both outcomes and tasks. And then from there, get clear on, okay, is this actually manageable? Because one real pain point we're having right now that we're figuring out in real time is we are scaling back up and we're trying to figure out how we create a new version of our biz team. So the old world of MFF, we had lots of non-revenue generating employees and probably more than we need, strictly speaking, for a number of reasons. That was nobody's fault except for ours, mine and yours. Yep. And now that we're growing back up, it is very difficult because it literally feels like it's a moving target where every month the amount of things we're asking to happen are growing. So we're trying to figure out how do we slowly grow the team without making some of the mistakes that MFF made in the past, which to some extent was throwing more bodies at it, where at the risk of being overly dramatic, it felt like we 10x, 15x number of people on the business team to get a 10% increase in capacity and productivity. So we are very reluctant to, I think, make that mistake over. And I think how we do it is probably the takeaway for those of you that feel like who owns what is muddy, which is have people sit down, write on a piece of paper. It'll take you 10 to 15 minutes. It's not that hard, But until everybody, particularly if you have a leadership team or even if you have a small team, until everybody writes down these things, it's going to be in everyone's head. There's going to be all sorts of like implicit assumptions that are maybe not reflective of your vision.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. Whether you do the full-on time audit where people write down how they've been spending their time, or you do the shorter version, just like write down all the things that you think you own, everything that's on your kind of plate, so to speak. I think that's really useful. And I think it's, one of the distinctions that we talk a lot about in traction, in the traction methodology, is the difference between being responsible for something and being accountable for something. And I think that distinction when you're doing this audit of responsibilities really matters. And for listeners who, don't know this language, being responsible for something in the business means that you actually contribute to the work, but you're maybe not the captain, right? If you're accountable, you're kind of the captain of that project and the buck stops with you. You're ultimately the one who is accountable for making sure it happens, but you may not do all the work. There may be multiple people responsible, but there should only ever be one person accountable. And that can be true for whether it's your company goals or true for certain metrics in the business. When it comes to the core kind of outputs of the business, there should be one person really who's ideally accountable for that thing that's their lane. Be lots of people who contribute and help them and support them and do some of the work. But I think that's a place where people often mess up. Is like, we don't have someone who does marketing, so we kind of all take pieces of marketing, which is like maybe not wrong depending on how you split it up, but it's much more efficient to have one person who's really accountable and then has a few other people who are responsible for pieces of it that report to them. And it's that kind of batching of accountability and maybe a batching of responsibility that's ideal for smaller teams, because the minute you spread out tasks and accountability amongst multiple people, it requires so much communication or coordination to stay on the same page. And so the more you can kind of batch accountability and responsibility, again, to Fisher's point, when you're growing quickly, you might want to think about that and have that conversation every few months. I think when the business is in slower growth times or more kind of homeostasis moments, I think once or twice a year is probably enough for most teams. But I think that creep of roles of people just slowly taking on more and more, or more and more people owning the same thing, it's so natural. It happens so organically that if you blink and don't pay attention to it for a few weeks or a few months, it's totally changed. And so I think it's just have to be on top of it and make sure you're having a conversation about who's really accountable for what in the business and who's in what lane. I think that really, really matters.
Yeah, there's one thing that feels true to me at this point in the history of our business. We've gone back and forth a little bit on this. The one time it's nice to have flexibility where a lot of people can do a lot of different things, but it does feel very true to me at this point in my career that if one person doesn't own it, then nobody owns it. So you want to avoid multiple people owning the same thing. Now you can have one person own multiple seats. So if anyone listening has read eMyth, which you haven't, please do that next. You can even turn this off, go read eMyth and then come back, because that is an absolute must read if you're a small business owner. But there is, I think there's a story in the book where the two brothers own a business and they write down on paper who does what. Because in a business, again, mostly you're going to have the sales and marketing, which tend to go together. Then you have operations, which for a fitness business tends to be the back of house customer service stuff and the fitness product and offering. And then you have finance /HR/IT, right? Those are kind of the main buckets. And you can have, if you have a small team, there might only be 2 to 3 of you that own all of those pieces. But in addition to having clear accountability, the other thing, which I know has been true at MFF and certainly even in our partnership, where historically you have done a good job of saying, hey, I'm not clear on what are the things we own or who owns the thing. It's interesting because usually when you presented it, it wasn't a pain point for me. I didn't really notice it to be an issue, but I was good natured, like, sure, okay, this clearly you care about this. All right, let's do this. We'll write it down. And historically, when we've done those things, would always feel unleashed when I felt like I owned a thing, because I didn't realize I was having a certain amount of psychic drag on a lot of activities and projects where it would feel like at times probably irrationally and not in line with what you wanted, where I was sort of waiting for you to weigh in on this thing that ultimately you didn't care about. And as soon as I just had actual permission, I don't care, just do the thing. I was off. Yeah.
I think that's huge. And I think that's also one of the hardest things for most people I'm talking to do is to stop needing to have an opinion about everything, right? I think because if you're going to have people who have clear lanes and clear accountability, and this is hard for a lot of people, including for me a lot of the time, it's like I have to stop needing as an owner to have to weigh in and have an opinion and have my voice heard in every single decision, because it's just slowing people down. If I've hired the right people, I've given them the tools to succeed, created the right goals and metrics, then there's part of us that needs to just get out of the damn way. And I think that's exactly what was happening with you, Fisher. Was like there are some things where you're like, oh, I'm going to wait for Michael to weigh in on this, and I just wasn't clear enough that you don't need to. Please just go do it. Ignore me. I'll let you know if it's not something that is not working. And again, that's hard to do for a lot of folks, to kind of let go of some control. But I think it's so essential to have people really kind of own their lane and work as effectively as possible. There has to be an agreement about where do I need to weigh in with you, where do I not, where do you get final say, where do I get final say, and that stuff I think makes teams run efficiently. I think it's a really important part of it.
Yeah, and also you just figure it out, right? Because historically, in our 10 years of working together, with the exception of the most recent values rollout, I can't recall a time where you did a thing where I cared. I can't recall a time where you did a thing where I was like, wait, why didn't you check in with me on that? It's interesting because we've worked together for 10 years and probably still, I know I do it too much. Even just now before we got on this call, I was like, oh, Keeler, I should give you the State of the Union. And it sounds like you're down to do it because for context for listeners, I'm going to be doing a State of the Union address to the team to talk about where we're at as we look into Q2, look back on Q1. Now, that's an ownership level thing where it could make sense for obvious reasons for Keeler to weigh in on it. And my impulse is Keeler probably should, maybe wants to weigh in on it. And I don't know. And it's impossible. I'm wasting your time and you've got a whole lot going on right now. It's probably close to what you want. So in my own, in like real time, I'm like, should I just not send you that email and just give you one last thing to look at?
Yeah. And it's the greatest thing. It's something, an impulse, I think, for all owners who care about their baby, that like, well, I want to see that. I want to care. I want to get involved. And like, is there any part of me that doesn't trust that you did a great job? And I probably know 90% of what's on there already anyway. Like, yeah, I can probably not look at it and be just as fine. And it's tough to navigate. It's tough to know when that's a thing and when it's not.
And that one's probably a bad example because because they're so rare, we have meetings now that is relatively, I don't make it sound dramatic, but relatively, I think it's gonna be very important that it's very clear to the team where we're going, where we've been. They get crystal clarity from that meeting. And of course, the challenge is it's gonna probably take you 15 to 30 minutes to look through, probably not that long. And the benefit is it probably will get 3% better. It's probably not gonna get 50% better, but it will be better for you having looked at it. And I think those are the pros and cons that you're constantly having to weigh. But admittedly, if I go back to the overall theme of this conversation, where are the moments where each of you can run alone? Something like that probably is an example of one where it does make sense for you to weigh in on it because it's such a mission critical thing to communicate to the team. Where are we going? And make sure we use that hour well.
Yeah. And the real takeaway is that we're having a conversation about it, that we're talking about how we talk. We're talking about how we communicate. We're talking about what our role and responsibilities are and where we want to weigh in with each other and where we don't. And some teams just aren't having that conversation. They just have role creep. And in some cases that contributes to mission creep and a lot of ineffective communication. And so like have the conversation about who owns what, write it down where you can all access it. And look at that shit periodically because it's gonna creep in directions that you probably don't want. Yeah. And
there really is a subconscious cost to it. I'll say briefly, interestingly of note, I haven't even told you, I think you're perfectly aware that we're doing a direct mail campaign. But between that and then probably hiring someone to build out some more automations in the sales pipeline in Infusionsoft, I'm like, we're going to drop like 20 grand on it. And I'm like peripherally keeping you in the know I'm going to do it, but I'm just doing it. And, again, and before I make that type of thing, another potential takeaway, and I realize this is maybe granular for those of you that are partnerships, is there another heuristic probably is a certain level of investment, probably automatically check in before you spend X, which I think in the beginning, I remember we talked about this in my apartment in Astoria. What was it? It was like $400 or something? I can't remember.
It was $500. I think it was anything over $500 we have to agree to, but now that's
anything less. Anything under $50,000, give me a call. Otherwise, do as you wish.
Seriously. Well, it's just like, it's like, how often am I going to disagree about those sorts of things? It's like, so that's the key takeaway is like, just be talking about it, and know what each other is comfortable with. because I'd rather just not slow people down and have you make great choices. And here's the other thing, that the reason I'm so comfortable with that, I'm also the kind of person who's comfortable to come in and tell you, hey, I wish that would go differently next time.
Right.
And you do the same thing. So, that there's
like,
any
hey,
time where you're
yeah.
like, you do the thing that doesn't be like, hey, it's totally cool you made a decision. I didn't ask to weigh in. Now that I'm seeing what happened, I do actually feel like I have an opinion about it. So next time, can this go like X? And it's like, yeah, that's what it looks like. If you didn't ask to weigh in and you have an opinion about it after the fact, then cool, you can share that. And I feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah. And I don't know that this is, anecdotal evidence that necessarily is applicable in all situations, but I would again highlight that has happened almost never. That has been so rare that has happened. If anything, there have been probably more insidious because it doesn't feel like it's an issue when we're interrupting each other's workflow to get our 2 cents and opinions about something that we in the moment are happy to give and kind of want to give, but probably be better off if the other person didn't even bring it up.
Yeah. And it's been an ever moving target for 10 years.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
I mean, it's like where that is any given moment depends on so many factors. But, I think, for listeners, even if you're not in a partnership, just continuing to once in a while raise the yellow flag to be like, are we all clear about who's in what lane here? And can we get more clear about it? Because that's always going to serve you well. It's always going to make the business more efficient.
I feel we drove that a little bit off the tracks from team stuff into some partnership stuff. They're related, but I want to acknowledge, I feel like I took the train a little bit off the thing, but I know people often ask us about partnership stuff. So I hope that was very actionable and tactical.
Yeah, it's the same concept though, right? It's like when you on your team should be doing the same thing. It's the same thing, same conversation. All right, well, let's wrap it up. This is one of our longer bonuses because we covered 2 topics that we had a lot to say about apparently, but I feel great about that. So for listeners, as always, Mark and I are available to answer your questions. We'd love to answer more of your questions. So email us, mark@businessunicorns.com, michael@businessunicorns.com. Hit us up on the DMs on the Instagram. Just come and find us. We're here to help. We also have some great stuff going on our website. Join our newsletter. Mark's putting out great emails on a regular basis. So go to businessunicorns.com. Just put your email address everywhere we ask for it. That's your actions. Anything else you want to end with, Fisher?
No, I have nothing else to add. Nothing to add.
Thanks so much, my friend. We'll do this again real soon. Hey friends, before you go, just one more thing. If you enjoy this podcast, you get value out of it, you enjoy listening, please share this podcast, comment below. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. Please share it with friends and family. We don't spend any money on marketing or advertising. And so the only way people find out about this podcast is from you. So please do everything you can to share it with friends and fellow colleagues in the fitness industry. We love making it and we want to keep doing it for a long, long time. So I appreciate your support. Go have a kick-ass day. Bye.